So Stefan Ritter of NGI will present the Clarifier project, centrifuge modeling of peat embankments. Stefan, go ahead.
Thanks, Peter, for this kind introduction. Do you see my slide in presenter view?
Yes, okay.
You can see them, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting me to present the Clarifier project, which stands for Centrifuge Modeling of Peat Embankments for Critical Infrastructure in Europe. The Clarifier project team consisted of the UC Dublin, which was in the lead of this project, and the PI was Mike Long. Then the Technical University of Science in Trondheim in Norway, then the Norwegian Public Roads Authority, and the Norwegian Geotechnical Institute. The primary objective of the Clarifier project is to investigate the use of innovative, low-cost and sustainable road construction in peatland using a combination of sawdust and sand embankments to form embankments for rural roads that are connecting, for example, critical infrastructure like upland energy farms. Our project was inspired by 4 60-year-old embankments of sand and sawdust that were constructed on Norwegian peat. Although a range of data from the 60-year-old trial embankment exists, we are lacking detailed data on the failure mechanisms of such sand and sawdust constructions on natural fibrous peat. And as well, we are lacking data on the performance of such embankments during traffic loading. So these 2 items form the main research objectives of the Clarifier project. To meet these objectives, we performed a series of centrifuge tests. So first, we started with so-called free plate loading tests, where we were interested in how well can we model natural peat and how can we investigate the failure mechanism further. So these models consisted of natural peat that was loaded vertically by a load plate. In these models, there were a range of instruments, for example, displacement sensors, pore pressure transducers, total pressure cells, and also we had a CPT to investigate the soil properties during flight. Then we performed 4 embankment tests. These tests consisted of these sawdust and sand embankments at small scale above the peat. And in this test, we investigated the behavior of sand and sawdust embankment during traffic loading. Then we were interested in how is the peat variability, so the natural inherent peat variability, affecting the test results. And we performed 1 test where we looked at the role of a geotextile at the interface between the sawdust and the peat. On this slide, you see some impressions from our research. So on the left-hand figure, you can see how we sampled the natural peat. This work was carried out in close to Trondheim at the Norwegian Geotest site, which is also a part of the GeoLab project. So then, after cutting these samples and storing them safely, we transported them with a ferry from Norway all the way to the Tares. There we cut the samples so that they could be used in a plain strain centrifuge model, which you see in the middle figure. And here you can see as well how the sawdust and sand embankments were built. Then this model was transported to the centrifuge, where we performed the centrifuge tests at the Tares. And at the bottom right corner, you can see an image after the centrifuge test was performed. So you can see the sand and sawdust embankment and the peat heavily deformed after failure and much beyond. So we are now working on investigating the experimental data using the data from our sensors, but also conducting a range of digital image correlation. Then we couple our work with numerical modeling and as well the field data obtained from the 60-year-old field trials to get further insight into the behavior of these sand sawdust embankments on natural peat. If you're interested further in this research, we just published a preprint of our first paper on the behavior of the 60-year-old trial embankments on peat, which you can download already. And in addition, Zaltaris performed a very nice video which highlights the work carried out in this GeoLab Clarifier project, which can also be found online. Finally, I'd like to thank all the project partners of this Clarifier team, then the GeoLab project and Zaltaris for hosting us while we carried out this project. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. Nice presentation, thank you. Yeah, looking at time, let's move on. The next presentation will be by Giulia Vigiani of Cambridge University on the project called SenLimit, Centrifuge Modeling of Desaturation for Soil Liquefaction Mitigation.